Make a shock move for the Browns rookie quarterback, Shedeur Sanders, guys. This is a very, very true thing that is happening. The Cincinnati Bengals front office is pursuing quarterbacks because they is not happy with their current backup as of right now, guys. Shedeur Sanders could end up in Cincinnati. This is for real. I just gotta be honest here with you guys. I hope he go. And I hope he ball. But see, here's the roadblock. Here's the.
He looked like a rookie, inexperienced quarterback. Like the one ball he just chucked into the secondary that got picked off.
Yeah.
That's inexcusable. I'd rather watch Dylan Gabriel and/or Shedeur Sanders.
2 weeks, y'all already turning on him. What happened? It's only week 2. And they're already calling for Joe Flacco to be benched. And I think this is funny and interesting for a multitude of reasons. More importantly, funny because, you know, Alex Smith went on his little diatribe about how crazy it is. And people were trying to demonize Shedeur about some alleged thing that happened in the draft.
Don't skip a single second of this video. And if this story touches your heart, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments. Where are you watching from? Let's begin. The news hit like a thunderclap. 1 minute, Joe Burrow is the face of Cincinnati, calm as ever, the quarterback you'd trust with your franchise and your future. The next, he's clutching his foot, grimacing, and the entire city of Cincinnati feels the bottom drop out. A turf toe that needs surgery, 3 months on the shelf, and suddenly a team with Super Bowl ambitions is staring at the kind of nightmare scenario you can't plan for. And then, like gasoline on an open flame, the rumor drops, the Bengals are making calls for Shedeur Sanders. Let's just take a breath here because this isn't some throwaway headline. This isn't a practice squad signing. This is the kind of move that sends shockwaves through the entire AFC North. We're talking about a division that already eats quarterbacks alive, where every single snap feels like a war zone. And now Cincinnati, desperate to keep their window open, is circling a rookie phenom from their own backyard rival. You can feel the panic in Cleveland already. Browns fans are sick. They finally get a glimpse of hope, finally draft a kid with poise, swagger, and that Sanders pedigree, and now the whispers start rolling in. What if we lose him to Cincinnati? Can you imagine? The Bengals of all teams, swooping in and taking the guy who was supposed to be your future? That's betrayal on a level that feels personal, like your neighbor stealing your car and driving it past your front porch every single Sunday. And here's what makes it even crazier. This isn't just about replacing Joe Burrow for a couple months. No. This is about control. This is about flexing on a division rival. This is about stealing momentum in one of the most cutthroat divisions in football. Think about it. If Shedeur walks into Cincinnati and balls out, you're not just patching up a hole. You're flipping the script on an entire season. I keep thinking back to how fragile these windows are. We've seen it. One injury, one unlucky break, and suddenly that championship core you built feels like it's rotting. The Bengals know this. They've been to the mountaintop. They know how quickly the AFC can pass you by if you don't make bold moves. And Shedeur? He's not some safe middle-of-the-road insurance policy. He's the high-risk, high-reward play that screams, we refuse to fold. Cleveland, meanwhile, is holding its breath. Because let's be real, the Browns have lived through quarterback hell for 2 decades. Name the jersey, name the draft bust, name the broken promises. They finally find a guy who feels like he could change the story, and now Cincinnati wants to snatch him away before he even settles in. You can't write a crueler twist for a fan base that's been kicked around for years. And that's why this story feels bigger than just Burrow's injury. It's bigger than just one trade rumor. This is about power in the AFC North. Who controls the narrative? Who owns the future? Is it Cleveland finally building something real? Or is it Cincinnati refusing to bow to fate? The answer could swing with one blockbuster decision. And that's where I'll leave it for now, because if you think this is just about a toe injury, you're not paying attention. What's unfolding here has the potential to rewrite rivalries, reshape rosters, and redraw the entire map of the division. And we're only at the beginning. So let's talk about the name at the center of all this. Shedeur Sanders. Why him? Why is a rookie suddenly the answer to the Bengals' prayers when their $275 million quarterback goes down? I'll tell you why, because Shedeur isn't built like your average rookie. From the moment this kid stepped onto a football field, you could see it. The calm in the pocket, the patience, the way he processes a defense like he's been doing it for years. That's not normal for a first-year quarterback. Most rookies panic. Most guys rush their reads, bail on clean pockets, or check it down just to survive. Not Shedeur. He's got the poise of a 10-year vet, and that's exactly what's got Cincinnati buzzing right now. And look, this isn't just some lucky break. This is bloodline football. When you grow up as Deion Sanders' son, pressure isn't a thing you run from, it's the air you breathe. Shedeur has been raised in the fire. Every snap of his life has been under the spotlight, with critics waiting to see if he'd crumble under the weight of his father's name. And instead of folding, he's been sharpening that edge, proving over and over again that he's more than a legacy kid. He's his own quarterback. Think back to that draft moment with Baltimore. He could have gone the safe route, sit behind Lamar Jackson, wear the headset, and play scout team for the next 8 years. But he said no. That's not arrogance, that's self-belief. That's a competitor saying, I'm not here to be a career backup. I'm here to play. I'm here to win. How many rookies have the guts to turn down stability for the chance to write their own story? Very few. That mindset is exactly why Cincinnati is looking at him right now. Now compare that to Jake Browning. Respectfully, Browning's a grinder, a good teammate, solid in relief, but let's be real, he's not moving the needle. Nobody in the AFC North is losing sleep game planning for Jake Browning. Defensive coordinators aren't staying up late worried about his arm talent or his improvisation. He's serviceable, and that's about it. But Shedeur, he's got juice. He's got that swagger that makes defenses tighten up. He can extend plays, make throws off platform, and he's not afraid to push the ball when the game's on the line. That's the DNA of a starter, not a placeholder. And that's the key here. Cincinnati isn't looking for a band-aid. They're not just trying to survive until Burrow gets back. They're trying to win now. They're trying to keep their Super Bowl window alive. They need someone who walks into that huddle and makes Jamar Chase believe he's still got a shot at 100 yards a game. They need someone who can look T. Higgins in the eye and say, we're not tanking this season. We're still dangerous. Shedeur Sanders is the kind of quarterback who can sell that belief, because he actually believes it himself. That's why this rumor isn't crazy. That's why it's catching fire. Because Shedeur isn't just another rookie. He's the kind of young quarterback who forces you to imagine what's possible. And for Cincinnati, right now, imagination might be the only thing keeping their championship dream alive. And that's where the tension shifts, because as much as the Bengals might believe, the critics aren't letting this go quietly. But let's not kid ourselves. For every fan hyping Shedeur as the next big thing, there are just as many voices saying pump the brakes. And honestly, they're not completely wrong. Because as much as I believe in the kid's talent, he's still raw. He's still figuring out the speed of the league. And the mistakes. Oh, they've been loud. Remember that interception? The one he just floated right into double coverage like a rookie trying to play hero ball. That was ugly. That was the kind of throw that makes a coaching staff slam the clicker in the film room. You can't do that in the AFC North. Not against the Ravens secondary. Not against the Steelers' disguised looks. You make that throw in this division, and it's 6 points the other way before you even realize what happened. And that's exactly what critics are hammering right now. They're saying he's too untested, that his pocket awareness isn't consistent, that his mechanics break down under pressure. Some are even dragging him for that decision with Baltimore, turning down the Ravens because he didn't want to sit behind Lamar Jackson. To a lot of people, that doesn't scream confidence, it screams arrogance. It screams a kid who hasn't taken a single meaningful NFL snap thinking he deserves the world handed to him. And let's be real, that narrative sticks. Fans latch onto that stuff. You hear the word cocky once, and suddenly every mistake becomes proof. Every sack he takes, every misread. People are shaking their heads saying, see, he's not ready. He thinks he's bigger than the game. Then there's Cleveland. Would the Browns actually even consider moving him? Think about how insane that would be. This is a franchise that's been begging the football gods for quarterback stability since the 90s. They've cycled through names like they were disposable. Tim Couch, Brady Quinn, Johnny Manziel, Baker Mayfield. Every single time, it's been, this is the one. And every single time, heartbreak. Now they finally have Shedeur, a kid who gives them hope, and suddenly Cincinnati comes knocking? That's not just a trade discussion that's ripping the soul out of your fan base. And yet, you can't ignore the whispers. You can't ignore the logic of a front office that might look at their roster and say, we need more pieces, we need picks. Maybe Shedeur isn't ready to carry us yet. That's how NFL executives think, even when fans hate it. So we're stuck in this weird place. Is Shedeur Sanders the bold move Cincinnati desperately needs? Or is this whole thing reckless? Is he the quarterback who's going to shock the world? Or just another kid getting hyped too fast too soon? That's the tension right now. Hope on one side, doubt on the other. And the truth is, both might be right. Which is exactly why this story won't go away. Because if the critics are wrong, and Shedeur proves he can handle the pressure, the payoff is massive. And that's where this whole conversation flips. Here's the thing that nobody can ignore. For all the doubts, for all the critics hammering Shedeur Sanders as too raw, this situation might be the perfect storm for him. Because let's be honest, how many rookies get a shot like this? Not just mop-up duty, not just a couple drives in garbage time. We're talking about 10, maybe 12 games as the guy. As the starter, in Cincinnati, with a playoff-caliber roster at his back. That's not a chance you stumble into. That's destiny opening the door. Think about the weapons he'd be stepping into. Jamar Chase, one of the best receivers in the league. A guy who can turn a slant into 6 and make any quarterback look like a star. T. Higgins, that big body, contested catch monster who can bail you out on 3rd and long. Joe Mixon in the backfield, a veteran who can steady the offense, pick up blitzes and take pressure off a young quarterback. That's not just support, that's a dream scenario for a rookie quarterback. Most young guys walk into a rebuilding mess. Shedeur? He could walk into a Ferrari, with the keys already in the ignition. And let's not forget the stakes. This isn't just Cincinnati scrambling to survive without Burrow. This is a franchise with a Super Bowl window wide open. Their defense is loaded. Their offense is stacked. The coaching staff has already been to the big stage. All they're missing is someone who can steady the ship. If Shedeur can be that guy, even just for a stretch, the story writes itself. Picture it. Rookie quarterback walks into the jungle. National spotlight. Every defense throwing the kitchen sink at him. And instead of breaking, he rises. He drops a dime to Chase on Monday Night Football. He threads a ball to Higgins with 2 defenders draped on him. He takes a hit from TJ Watt, gets back up and leads a game-winning drive. That's not fantasy. That's the kind of audition that defines careers. Because let's be real, the NFL doesn't hand out these moments often. You can sit behind Lamar Jackson for 8 years and never sniff the field. You can ride the bench in Cleveland while the front office figures out its identity. Or you can step into Cincinnati, when the lights are blinding, when the season looks lost, and flip the script. That's the kind of story people remember forever. That's how legends are born. And this isn't just about proving he belongs. This is about proving he can lead. Quarterbacks aren't judged on practice reps or preseason flashes. They're judged on what they do when the pressure is suffocating, when a city's hope is hanging on every throw. And that's exactly the kind of trial by fire Shedeur Sanders might be walking into. So yeah, the critics are loud, but the opportunity, it's louder. This is Shedeur's shot to take everything, the doubts, the questions, the skepticism, and turn it into belief. And if he pulls it off, the AFC North will never look the same again. So here's where we're at. The Bengals are staring down a lost season without Joe Burrow. The Browns are clinging to a quarterback they believe could finally break their curse. And in the middle of all of it sits Shedeur Sanders, a rookie who hasn't even played a full season, but already has the AFC North shaking. Now let's play this out. What happens if Cleveland actually says yes? Imagine the explosion. The Bengals pull the trigger, and suddenly Sanders is lining up in stripes, throwing bombs to Jamar Chase, keeping Cincinnati's season alive. The headlines would go nuclear. Trade of the century. Bengals steal Browns' future. The kind of move that reshapes rivalries for a decade. Cleveland fans wouldn't just be mad, they'd be devastated. That's handing your neighbor the keys to your house and watching them throw a party every Sunday. You think Dog Pound fans would ever forgive that? Not a chance. But what if the Browns hold firm and say no? Then Shedeur stays in Cleveland. But don't think that's the end of it. Every rumor, every phone call, every headline sticks to him like glue. Every time he throws a pick, fans will say, "This is why we should have traded him." Every time he drops a dime, they'll whisper, "This is why Cincinnati wanted him." Either way, his career just got branded with a storyline bigger than anything he's done on the field yet. That's pressure you can't shake off. And here's the wild part. If he ends up in Cincinnati, Shedeur Sanders instantly becomes the villain of the AFC North. Cleveland fans will boo him like he betrayed them personally. Pittsburgh will see him as the new face to hunt down. Baltimore will line up to prove he's not ready. And you know what? That might be the best thing for him. Because some players crumble when they're hated. And some rise to it. They thrive on the noise. They use it as fuel. And everything about Shedeur tells me he's the second kind. So could this be the trade of the century? Honestly, yeah. Think about it. Burrow goes down. Cincinnati refuses to fold. And instead of mailing in the season, they double down. They go bold. They gamble on a kid who's got talent, confidence, and that Sanders fire in his veins. If it works, you're not just saving 2025. You're potentially setting up the Bengals with 2 franchise quarterbacks in one building. And that is nightmare fuel for the rest of the AFC. And that's why I keep saying, this isn't just a rumor. This is bigger than Burrow's injury. This is bigger than one trade call. This is the kind of storyline that redefines rivalries, reshapes divisions, and rewrites careers. So buckle up, because whether Cleveland caves or stands tall, whether Shedeur moves or stays, chaos is coming. You can feel it. And Shedeur Sanders, he might just be the spark that lights the whole AFC North on fire.